Na kraj padnul děsnej smutek, kdo mělo i ráno utek, nech jich mouženský majsat, kdo včera žil, dneska je prach. Už se jí bojí svatý muži, nechtěl bych bejt v jejich kůži. Nám je to jedno a tak si dáme jedno a požadem si huby jako poslední den. Buďme se vámi a do rána stávy na tak vypal sudy a posaď se mi sem. Tak posaď se sem a vypal je ven. Ukaž kozy jako vozy, zítra jen tu jsou nejdem, tak nalej mi hned a točí se zpět. Dneska si to neví, zase zítra je řízení a není to naposled.
I'd like to buy a horse.
Well now, you...
I have.
Nothing but the best here. Is there one in... Well, the best horse I ever saw. Strong,
But
well, he ain't the most...
maybe some other?
Ah, good choice. One of the smartest mares we have. You'd think she was faster than...
Maybe some other?
That beast bites, kicks and...
Maybe some other?
A fine horse, one of the best... Oh, 7 heads.
Maybe some other?
Oh, she's a pretty good horse. Oh, she's got a mind of her own. He said, now he's settled down with a wife, he's afraid she'd... Them Pauls are a perverse lot.
Surely you'll knock something off the... Since it's you...
That's... done. I'll be with you.
Let's talk...
No.
Since...
The Lord watch over you.
I'd like to discuss... Since it's
That's... Take care now.
Good afternoon.
I'm looking for a fellow who lives here, but I don't know his name. Do you know anyone with a limp?
That'll be Lubosh. Gallows bait if I ever saw one. Bye.
Yeah! Yeah!
Move along, citizens. Move along. There's nothing to see here.
That's what you call nothing to see. I'd like to know what something to see looks like.
By the keys of St. Peter, this is all I need. We'll have to send word to Sir Hanush.
That might not be necessary.
Who are you?
I'm Henry of Skalitz, in the service of Hanush's captain Bernard. I'm investigating the attack at Neuhof, and I think this could be related.
Well, I'm the bailiff of Auschwitz. And I say we don't want any of that kind of trouble around here. What makes you think this has anything to do with Neuhof?
One of the folk at the stud farm recognized someone from Auschwitz among the bandits.
We have no bandits or murderers around here.
Really? They say he had a limp?
Shit. Well, allow me to introduce you to Limpy Lubosh. Or all that's left of him.
Sakra. Nothing's ever easy. I'll have to take a look around and ask a few more questions, if that's all right with you.
You can take this mess off my hands and welcome to it. As for what else there is to find out, I don't know. But look and ask all you like.
Who was Limpy Lubosh?
A poor crofter and a scoundrel. He kept company with all sorts of vermin. He was always getting into some kind of trouble.
How come he limped?
He got that from some villainy or brawl a long time ago.
Has he been up to anything suspicious lately?
I don't know. The last few days he didn't go anywhere. He was home the whole...
Did he have any kith or kin in the village?
None. A loner he was. I don't know the last time I saw him with anyone.
Do you happen to know where he was on the night of the Neuhof raid?
I've no idea. He kept his distance from other folk, so you never knew if he was away.
When did you find the body? And did anyone see anything?
Just now. And nobody saw or heard anything. I don't know how they could gut him like that.
Mother.
I've come in the name...
Ask away.
Who was this Lubosh who was...
He was a drunkard and a beast. And lazy too. Idle hands are the devil.
Have you noticed anything suspicious?
The only thing seemed suspicious was how a rogue like him suddenly started.
Do you know what Lubosh was doing?
What do I care about that scoundrel?
Do you know who Lubosh used to spend...
He was always a loner.
That's all.
May the Lord watch over you.
The blessings of our good Lord be... Can I ask you a few questions?
It seems Sir Hanush is employing children as investigators.
Did you know Lubosh?
Bit of a lost soul.
Did you notice anything suspicious?
My child, all sorts of suspicious things have been going on recently. People like...
That's really not a lot of help to me, Father.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Do you know what Lubosh was doing on the day Neuhof was raided?
Unfortunately, I do know. And I'd like to help you with your investigation, but I can't.
What?
I'm bound by certain vows that forbid me to tell you.
Vows more important than catching dangerous murderers?
There are laws of God above the laws of man, son.
Father, surely you can't be serious. There must be situations in which you can make an exception.
There are things that apply always, no matter what the circumstances.
I've got no time.
You're threatening me. You want to fight?
All right, let's...
Farewell.
Go!
I'm over here! Ah! Damn! Oh! Well, cunt. Bohuty! Yeah! You think because I'm a... Either way, if you think you'll get confession, you can hammer me to death if you like. I do want to help you, though.
Damn.
Aye. Where do I...
You'll have no trouble finding it. Right. God be with you.
I'm sorry I can't tell you everything. But first I'd like to hear something about you,
I'm from Skalitz.
Oh.
They're dead.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. It must have been terrible.
It was terrible. It seemed so pointless. God knows why. They killed anyone who didn't make it to the shelter of the castle. My parents, my girl. I didn't make it to the castle. I wanted to try and help. They almost killed me.
My poor child. And how did you come to get this assignment? I'd have expected Sir Hanush to send that old grouch, Bernard.
He did, but I found a witness and the trail led here to Ujit, so he sent me here to follow it up.
Ah, well, congratulations. It's nice to see someone using their head to find things out instead of torture. We'll have to drink to that. Now the most important thing. What actually happened at Neuhof? The good folks hereabout are saying all kinds of terrible things, but I take most of it with a pinch of salt.
The rumours aren't exaggerated this time, unfortunately. The Neuhof stud farm was raided by bandits, but they didn't come to pillage or even take the horses. They only wanted to kill. They maimed the horses and slaughtered some people. I'm sure they would have killed more, but the bandits quarrelled among themselves and broke off the attack. And judging by what's left of our Lubosh, they're still settling accounts.
I see it's every bit as bad as people claimed. Dreadful. Well then, here's to those poor souls who had to die so pointlessly and so terribly.
I've told you all about me. Now it's your turn, Father. You don't look much like our parish priest at home. I noticed you're pretty handy with a sword.
You know what they say. The Lord moves in mysterious ways.
But this is a bit more mysterious than others.
Let's just say I haven't always been a priest. Fate led me to places where affairs were settled by force. These days, of course, it's just a bit of exercise to keep me in shape.
Well, we've had an agreeable chat, but now let's get down to business. So, about this confessional seal. Do you really want more innocent people to die?
Henry, that's not how it works. There are matters in which you can't make exceptions because if you do it once, you'll forever be tempted to do it again. If people stop believing in the church because their confessional secrets are betrayed, they won't trust anyone, and that's worse than even the most hideous crime.
I understand, but that means I've reached a dead end. Those cutthroats will strike again, and I can't stop them.
Chin up, lad. I might have a solution.
What?
If I tell you what Luboš told me, I'd be betraying the confessional secret. But, first thing tomorrow, I'll try something I think might help you.
Word of honor?
On my soul.
I always wondered about the things a priest tells his congregation. Where on earth do you get the ideas for your sermons?
Well, Ujic is in Prague. It's not enough to instruct people. They have to be entertained, too. If I only read from the Bible, I'd soon be preaching to an empty church.
Our priest wasn't exactly a bard.
It has to be something topical, condemning vices, and of course describing them in detail. A tongue, especially if they're about fornication and similar scandalous vices.
Can you give me an example?
Well, recently a priest by the name of Jan Hus started preaching in Prague, in the Czech language. I hear he always has a full house. A journeyman who heard him told me what Hus is preaching, and I'm thinking about putting it in my...
What's so amazing about it?
The preaching of Master Jan Hus, the lamentable wealth in which the church, just like a flock of hungry ravens, they know no mercy. Their hearts are corrupt. You want to baptize a child? Pay. You want to steal and murder? Pay and you will have absolution. What if the devil himself were to pay? Would he ascend to heaven? With such money gained from the poor, they buy beautiful horses to ride and needless servants to pamper them. While Jesus Christ walked barefoot and had... Look to your consciences, you robbers of... Amen!
Well, this Jan Hus character is quite a rebel.
Oh, the congregation...
I don't doubt it.
Let's drink to that.
Funny. That last bit reminds me of someone.
What do you mean? My situation's completely different. Huth preaches against the prelates and the clerics who are robbing the poor. Look at me. I don't have a pot to piss in. I'm no better off than the folk I preach to. I'm one with them in poverty and suffering and everything that troubles them. I drink with them and curse those stuffed habits in Sasau Monastery.
Don't you think it's a bit odd when someone boozes and lives in sin with a woman?
No, I don't.
What do you think of this Jan?
He's certainly a wise man. A little overzealous for my... If he got out of Prague and came here for a look, I'm sure he'd...
Where can I find out more about his tip?
You like it? I copied down some of his sermons. If you're interested...
What do the common folk think?
They like it. They're happy to hear someone say what they think themselves. But in a few years, it'll have grown beyond control.
Yeah, unless they burn him at this...
Nonsense. They can't burn a master of the most respect...
Thanks for the sermon, but it's getting quite late.
What do you suppose?
That sounds like...
I knew you wouldn't let me down.
Přišla bída mora hlad, to neustojí žádnej chlap. Na kraj padnul děsnej smutek, kdo měl nohy ráno utek, děti v mouženství mají strach, kdo včera žil, dneska je prach. Už se jí bojí svatý muži, nechtěl bych bejt jejich muži. Já je to jedno a tak si dám jedno a požadem si huby jako poslední den. Půjdu se mámy, panorama stávy a pak vypad sudy a posaď se mi sem. Tak posaď se sem a vypad je ven. Ukaž kozy jako vozy, zítra jen tu soudnej den. Tak nalej mi hned, ať točí se svět.
Enough of this! Bailiff! Come on over here, sit down and have a drink with us.
Don't vex me again, Father. It's 3 hours past dusk, and curfew is long gone.
So what?
So, I'll have you all whipped and put in the stocks, and I'll write a letter to the bishop about you, priest.
Well, nothing to worry about then. Everyone knows the only one around here who can write is me.
Enough! Men, throw them out.
Oh. You looking for a fight? Henry, back me up.
Ale do prdele. Well, that's naughty, you. You're dead.
Watch the step, my dear. Careful, you don't hurt yourself. Here we are. Look at this beauty.
Oh. We can't do this, can we?
Who says? Get ringing, wench.
This is wonderful.
Ah, bloody oaf. And now, my dears, comes the climax of the evening.
God, man, you old goat.
Come here. Oh.
The priest has mounted up. What do you say, Henry? Shall we take a little ride of our own?
Hey. Well, I have to say that was a fine evening.
Godwin, you beast! Get up! Do you hear me? Wake up, you drunkards!
Oh, fucking hell.
Who the hell are you? Oh, Henry. My great friend, Henry. Didn't we have a wonderful time?
Well, you certainly did, you old lecher. Now you better pull yourself together quick. You haven't much time. There's some water and something to eat on the table there, but if I were you, I would move my hairy arse before my flock eats me alive.
Oh, step on in my head. My guts. Oh, my poor suffering stomach. Oh, what was that woman on about? Before my flock eats me alive. I've forgotten something. What have I forgotten?
Where the fuck am I?
What the fuck was it? Oh. Mass! Oh shit, I have to say mass. I gotta say mass. You have to help me.
How? You're the priest.
I can't do it in this state. Maybe the liturgy. But I have to give a sermon as well. Oh, this is a disaster. They're gonna excommunicate me. I'd like to help you, but you can. You can do the sermon for me.
What? So, first I investigate a murder no one wants investigated. Then I drunkenly keep the whole town up all night. And now you want me to preach at them from the pulpit? Do you want them to burn us at the stake?
No. No, I've got it. Suppose that Sir Ratzig's protege. You just came from studying in Prague. And you want to share the words of Master Jan Hus, who you recently heard preaching there. Henry, look, from what I remember, we might have overdone it a bit last night. And if the bailiff or someone else complains about me, the bishop's gonna have my guts for garters. So I'd appreciate it. Stop gaping at me like a stuffed squirrel and start helping.
You're mad. You're stark raving mad.
I'm not. It's a perfect plan. It's flawless. Oh. How about this? If you help me with this, I'll tell you who Luboš's cronies are.
Well, all right. But I can't.
No, neither can.
What do you want me to do?
I'll go and start the liturgy. Then I'll introduce you. No need.
Christ almighty.
Wonderful. Hey.
Never show up. The swim.
Look, he can hardly walk after his capers last night.
You were with them, you beast. Just you wouldn't.
Look at him. Mother of God, any minute now he'll throw up.
So I couldn't sleep a wink last night with all that clamor.
In nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Accepit panem in sanctas at venerabiles a manus suas. Hoc facite in meam commemorationem. Brothers and sisters, you may have had the honor of meeting Henry from Skalitz, who is here at the behest of Sir Hanush to investigate that heinous crime at Neuhof You might not know that Henry recently visited Prague, where, by the grace of God, was able to hear Master Jan Hus from the esteemed Charles University preaching. I've managed to persuade Henry to stand here today in my stead and tell us what he heard. Because, as you all probably know, Jan Hus is a very popular preacher in Prague. So, Henry, you may begin.
Now I'm curious which one of them will puke first.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. How the once great mother of all Christians is losing her dignity.
That whelp wants to preach about the church.
One should not believe in the church, because the church is not God.
He's right.
It is the corruption of God's pastors here on earth that has brought misfortune on our heads. The accursed wealth that the church is drowning in is poisoning almost the whole of Christendom. When dogs are fighting over a bone, take the bone and they will stop. Just like the flock of ravens that has descended on this land to peck up every speck of gold and silver. They show no mercy. Their hearts are poisoned by covetousness. They trade everything. Everything is for sale. You want to baptize a child? Pay. You want to steal and murder? Pay, and you will have absolution. And the prelates sin and give themselves absolution.
For shame! Shame upon them!
And what sins? They live with harlots and keep concubines, even though only marital intercourse for the purpose of procreation is pure. If someone takes a woman or man only to satisfy their own lust, who seduces them to do so but Satan? And how much darker the sin? Who can turn his face to God, who fornicates and then puts on priestly robes?
Nothing we don't know about already.
Enough about sin, which the prelates are so fond of preaching about, and whose absolution they promise if you only pay enough coin to Mother Church. What if the devil himself were to pay? Will the bishops tell us he too would ascend to heaven? And what about those bishops? They sin without remorse, and with the money grasped from the poor for indulgences, they keep fine horses and hordes of servants to pamper them. They play dice and garb their mistresses in expensive furs, while Christ, the Lamb of God, walked barefoot and had nowhere to lay his head. Look to your consciences, you robbers of the poor, for you are seen by God and his people too.
Down with the prelates. Away with them.
God sees what is happening on earth, and he is filled with righteous wrath that those who should seek the salvation of souls instead seek mammon and the idle comfort of lucrative posts. Blessed are the shepherds who share the poverty of their flock, who are as one with you and bear with you the burden of this earthly pilgrimage, who do not condemn your venial sins.
Aye, all honour to Godwin. Let him drink like one of us.
That is all I heard in Prague.
The lad spoke well, considering what a soak he is.
He's right, that was.
The young man shouldn't drink so much, but the Lord's given him a silver
Glad he
tongue.
came here. I don't suppose I'll ever get to Prague, and he told it nicely.
Well, well, my boy, you have talent, and I can't deny it. And you pulled a thorn from my side. I almost didn't make it.
Yeah, I noticed. And I wasn't the only one.
Oh, what's to be done? I'll make it up somehow.
So, about our bargain.
Although it's a sin.
So's gluttony. And fornication.
God does forgive a penitent.
So, what did Limpy Luboš tell you? Was he at Neuhof that day? Who was with him? And where are they now?
Now slow down. I'm sorry, but he didn't tell me that much.
Don't let me down after all I've been through. For you?
Well, now Luboš came to me shortly after it happened. His conscience was gnawing at him. And I must say, in the end, he turned out to be a better man than he looked. He said they'd been hired through some crony of theirs. And at first they were just to steal some horses. But then it all turned sour and people started getting killed. And neither he nor his cronies wanted anything to do with that. So they fell out from the gang and fled.
Fell out? Yeah, there was a body found in the woods by Neuhof.
That would explain something. Luboš kept jabbering that he wasn't a murderer, that he didn't want to do it.
So I know that Luboš killed the murderer and he's dead too. The trouble is, I need to find the ones who are still alive. I need names and places. Did he mention any of the others?
Only nicknames. Talked about some fella called Riki from Ledechko, Pius, Timmy.
Pius. That lot are about as pious as I am ordained.
Nonsense. You would make an excellent priest. And anyhow, with your skills, you ought to be able to sniff out this Riki from Ledechko, right?
Well, we'll have to now. There's not much else to go on. Let's hope he's not hanging from the wall too.
Indeed. And I'd hate to be excommunicated for nothing. Anyhow, good luck. You watch out for yourself. These people clearly mean business. And I'd like to raise a tankard with you again sometime.
Yeah, I'll try. Although I'm not sure I'd survive another night of your debauchery.
And if anyone should ask, you heard nothing from me. I'll deny everything.
I don't doubt it.